In a world where environmental awareness is growing more and more, we have, on one hand, electric cars, more efficient, less polluting, quieter, and more cost-effective in terms of maintenance. On the other hand, we have cars that rely on fuel, more polluting, noisy, and expensive in terms of refueling. Without a doubt, the arrival of electric cars in the market is significantly changing the automotive sector, and the future of the industry will be increasingly influenced by this change. Will the oil industry be left behind by the modernity and sustainability of the electric automotive industry? That's what we're going to talk about next. So, if you enjoy this type of video, take the opportunity to leave your like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to find out about the next topics that are coming up. Now let's get to the point. The oil industry is one of the largest and most complex industries in the world, involving the exploration, production, transportation, refining, and marketing of oil and its derivatives. Its beginning dates back to the mid-19th century, when the first well was drilled in Azerbaijan in 1846. Later on, other wells were drilled in Romania, Canada, and the United States. This resource allows for the production of derivatives such as fuel gas, liquefied petroleum gas, gasoline, kerosene, diesel oil, and gas oil. But air pollution caused by vehicles, responsible for the emission of these types of substances, is a growing concern around the world. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, air pollution is responsible for about 7 million premature deaths each year, and about one-third of these deaths are attributed to outdoor air pollution, including pollution caused by vehicles. Moreover, according to a 2013 study by the EIA, International Energy Agency, almost 64% of the oil produced was allocated to the transportation sector, which includes not only cars but also air and sea freight. And, while it is undeniable that oil is a resource that generates enormous wealth, it is also gaining enemies around the world. The reason? The environmental impact caused by the industry, mainly by greenhouse gas emissions, air and water pollution, and the risk of oil spills in ecosystems. Regarding the environmental impact, it is important to highlight that global warming, produced in part by carbon dioxide emissions, is causing melting in the coldest regions of the planet. Surprisingly, these melting events have revealed new oil reserves. The International Energy Agency estimates that over 10% of the world's undiscovered oil is located in the Arctic. Another negative aspect of the oil industry is contamination, especially in the sea, which is much more harmful than on land. This is because when there are leaks on land, a simple improvised dam in the contaminated area can prevent the oil damage from spreading further. However, at sea, the damage caused is much deeper since it is impossible to control the spreading. It is common to see news about marine animals dying due to leaks of this oily substance. The damage is not limited to animals but also to us, human beings. Air pollution caused by automobiles can cause a series of health problems, including cardiovascular, pulmonary, and respiratory diseases. In addition, children, the elderly, and people with respiratory problems are particularly vulnerable. As a result of the aforementioned disadvantages, the industry is subject to strict environmental regulation worldwide. Many cities around the world are restricting or prohibiting combustion engine cars in certain areas, expanding bike lanes, and promoting the use of electric cars and bicycles as means of transportation. In this sense, cities such as San Francisco, Milan, and France are just a few that are betting on awareness and reducing fuel consumption. For these reasons, oil companies are facing a lot of pressure from society, non-profit organizations, politicians, and investors. This pressure is causing oil companies to invest in sustainable alternatives such as solar energy and various other types of renewable energy sources. However, in practice, the expansion of oil companies' investments has not been well received. The argument is related to a lack of coherence since the industry is betting on an energy transition while still polluting the planet daily. For many, oil giants spend billions of dollars on campaigns to gain a better reputation and image in front of a society with a conscience while there is no real interest in collaborating and improving the environmental impact caused. Perhaps it is because oil exploration is an extremely profitable activity that allows for the transportation of billions of people and there is still no plan B that can replace it in the world. But, what about electric cars? Can they be a plan B to change the future? That's what we'll see next. If you're enjoying this video, leave a like to support the channel so we can bring you more content of your interest. Electric cars are no longer an illusion, but a reality that is already installed in the global automotive market. Among their advantages, we can see that the main one is related to the non-emission of polluting gases. That's right, electric cars do not emit carbon dioxide, thus contributing to improving air quality and reducing air pollution. In addition, they have an economical maintenance cost compared to fuel cars. Charging an electric car is cheaper and its engine is more energy efficient. Just as the cost of maintenance of parts is also lower, since electric cars have fewer moving parts than combustion cars. All this without counting on the efficient performance, characterized by silent operation and greater stability and weight distribution. But, as we know, perfection doesn't exist and even electric cars have disadvantages too. The main one is the high acquisition cost, mainly due to the cost of batteries. They have a high market value, which is out of reach for most of the world's population. However, their limited autonomy is also a barrier. Although most models have an autonomy of about 200 to 300 kilometers, this can be a problem for long trips that people need to make for various reasons. Not to mention the infrastructure and charging time that do not collaborate with people's daily lives. It happens that even at fast stations, charging batteries is still very slow, especially considering the item's need. And the charging stations are quite limited, which prevents people from being able to charge the car to continue their trip. Anyway, the production and availability of electric cars is low, and even if everyone decided to buy one, there would not be enough quantity. But that's the reality of today. As we know, the world of technology is growing at a rapid pace, and electric cars can continue to evolve to become increasingly efficient and accessible. The reality is that, due to all the advantages, the demand for electric vehicles is increasing. With growing concern about pollution and greenhouse gas emissions, as electric charging infrastructure expands and battery technology improves, demand for electric cars is likely to continue to grow. However, the question remains, although the transition to electric vehicles can help reduce air pollution caused by automobiles, is it a truly viable alternative in practice? With the entry of electric cars into the automotive market and their advancement over time, will oil companies such as Petrobras or Shell and others around the world go bankrupt? Regardless of the future of the automotive industry, in the case of a transition, it is likely to be a long period with a lot of work in between to achieve the popularization of electric cars. This is because such a major change, which involves an item used daily by the whole world, will not happen overnight. It takes time for study, research, development, testing, improvement, adaptation, and various other processes to make it truly accessible to everyone. However, it is likely that the transition to electric cars will continue to shape the future of the automotive industry, and car manufacturers will need to adapt to meet the changing demands of society. Now we want to hear from you. What do you think of the battle for the future of fuels? What is the best way to balance the needs of the automotive industry, the planet, and society? Leave your opinion in the comments. Thank you for your presence and participation, and we'll see you in the next video, folks.